You're listening to the Oracle Talk Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Sabrina Carpenter.
I'm Dasha.
Hey, I'm Billie Eilish.
What's up, guys? I'm Camila Cabello.
Hey, this is Tate McRae.
I love this station.
I love this station.
You're listening to Chasing Prophecy Radio, where we discuss anything and everything beyond the scope of normal. On the Oracle Talk Radio Network. Broadcasting live in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
If it's unexplainable, we're talking about it.
Whether you're a believer or a skeptic,
we cover everything where the unknown becomes the known.
And now, here are your hosts, Jenny Nicasio and Tom Callway.
Welcome to Chasing Prophecy on the Oracle Talk Radio Network. I'm Jenny Nicasio, live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I hope everybody's having a good night tonight. There's a lot going on out there, folks, but I just want to let you know we're going to have another mind-bending edition to Chasing Prophecy, and we'll pull back the curtain to the unknown and dive deep into the mysteries they don't want you to understand. Yeah. Okay. But before we get started tonight, we're going to have some powerful discussions on hypnosis, past lives, and the secrets of the subconscious. And we have to talk about what's lighting up the skies first, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. There is a lot of crazy stuff going on in California for the last week and a half. But before we get started, I just want to make sure I am live on my homepage. No, it's always locked out, which I don't understand why that always happens. But I just loaded it up. So, anyways, hello, Holly. How are you tonight? I hope you can stick around because we're going to have a really interesting evening. We have a really cool guest, and I hope he got my link. You never know with me, because I always mess up everything, it seems lately. But I haven't got anything back from him, so I think he's good to go. But there's a lot of chatter right now about UFO sightings coming from California. Multiple witnesses, strange lights, and even footage surfacing online. Really good. Hi, MD. Can I talk about your podcast? Sure, you can talk about my podcast. Not here, though. If you're trying to grab me to do some advertising, no, I don't want you to do that here. So it's got the truth seekers buzzing once again. And it raises the questions again. Are we being watched? And are we being manipulated? And that's what I want to find out. So, but are we? There's so many different sightings in California. I don't know if you saw them. Most of them are on TikTok, which kind of makes me wonder, like, why are they all on TikTok? And are we slowly being prepared for something bigger? And that's what we're going to talk about first. So let me show you a couple different. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at these because they're really crazy. And I'm not just saying that because they are. But let's go ahead and watch this one first and tell me what you think. I hope you can hear that good. I don't know why there's background music today. But do you see that? Let's go back. Did you see that? Let me turn off this background music. So first, let's turn that off so we can hear. Okay, let's go back to that. Let me go back to that and see if I can.
Oh my God.
Okay, here's another one. Let's do this one first. Do you see it right there? That is your typical. Hi, Charlie. Did you see that? That's crazy. Let's go to this one. Now, this one is an UAP sighting in Los Angeles, California. That was on May 12th, 25. Do you see this? Now, is that a drone? No. They said they saw that flying through in their neighborhood. And then we have this one right here. Now that to me looks like it's fake. Yes, that's fake. But this is what they could be doing, guys. They could be doing this CGI. You know, California is a big movie production hotspot. This could all be CGI that we're seeing. This could be CGI. And this one could be CGI. So, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. So I'm not really sure what's going on out there, but there's a lot of craziness. And I want to see if we can find some more. I had a couple of them I wanted to show you that. Here's one. Okay, I'm going to bring this guy up. Just give me a second. See if I can get him. Stop sharing. And we're going to share some more. I don't know why the volume is so low. I have it pretty high on my end. I guess he's whispering. Whoops.
See that? That's the entrails from a spaceship. At first, I thought it was a
why it's so low.
shower, but it's not. They made an announcement. They went through a human being, and they said that this alien species was going to be coming this week, whether the government was ready to tell us or not. And this is not orchestrated by Hollywood at all.
No, I think it is being orchestrated by Hollywood.
It's humongous.
Because it's kind of odd that it's in Hollywood. Hi, Joe. How are you? Hi, CL. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably just a...
Folks, just the last 2
He's saying it's not... It's in Hollywood. It's not Hollywood production, but there's just too many of them. There's too many of them. But there's, I mean, so many are actually seeing videos. It's just not one person. There's a multiple number of people who are videotaping these all over the internet. And I saw a lot on Reddit. And I'm not saying all of them are fake, but I would have to say a good many are fake. Let me see. There's this one. Now this one, like I showed first, you guys just came in. Let me make sure you can see it. Let me try this one. Let me try to share it with you. This one, I don't know. This one looks like your typical, the V shape that was in Arizona. No, that looks real. I don't know what you guys think. What do you guys think? You think those are all fake? Well, what we're doing tonight, see, we have a hypnosis guy on here. He's going to talk about past life regressions. He's going to talk about all kind of crazy stuff that people can do. And we're going to talk about aliens. Bob Lazar. We're going to talk about him too. But our guest, his name is Mark Gerlach. I'll probably screw that up. He's a certified hypnotherapist trained in Tarzana, California. We should ask him about this. But he's going to talk about all kind of crazy stuff. And could alien people, could the aliens people are seeing now be the same ones behind the ancient symbols and religious texts? So we're going to talk to him. He's coming on in about, he said he could come on about 8:15. So how you guys all doing? I know Pittsburgh is pretty yucky out. It's been pretty yucky out for a couple days. I don't know where you guys are at, but it's been raining like crazy. And I am getting really agitated because this is the time where I go out and I get suntans. I got a little bit of tan going on, but I'm losing it already because there isn't any sun out. Let me see if my guess is coming, if we got the link okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah, he must have got it because I don't see it. But yeah, it's a lot of crazy weather. A lot of people are complaining they're being flooded out. It makes me go back to thinking is what's going on with the weather, you know? And I know people don't want to talk about it, and they say that global warming doesn't exist, or they think it's some kind of conspiracy theory. But I totally believe that it does exist, or they have a weather machine that they're using. That could be it. So there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there, and I want to get to the bottom of this, these sightings. And if anybody lives in California and has anybody seen any of these, please hop on and tell me. I would love to know, is it just something a few people are seeing, or is it a CGI? Is it California, Hollywood, and maybe making a movie, or just seeing if they can, stir up some controversy? You remember the Florida one? You remember that one? The Florida one where they had those big things. And I'm telling you right now, something goes back to CERN. I really do believe that CERN is playing a big part on a lot of these things that we're seeing, whether it's UFO, UAPs, or it's any kind of crazy stuff that's going on, people seeing creatures at night. I don't know. I think it goes back to CERN and how when they opened up that portal and they did that crazy religious ceremony with, it looks like goats, like devils and everything. It has something to do with that. I totally believe that there is a portal. There are portals all over the world. There's tunnels under the ground. There's all kind of crazy stuff going on, and I still think it goes back to CERN. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If anybody out there wants to put their 2 cents in and tell me that debate that it isn't CERN, let me know. And okay, it's coming on to, he should be getting in here soon. So let's see if we can find some more of these crazy videos. No, I don't. There might be more. You know who the best person to ask for this is, believe it or not, Margie K. Margie, I have to have Margie K back on. Her and Stan Gordon. We'll have to get them back on to see if there's more going on. I should probably check Stan's his website. So it would be UAP sightings. And I'll let you know also. Okay, this one was just not too long ago. Let me see. That was. I want to go for we're going to have to do May of 2025. I'm going to put down May 2025. See if anything's coming up. Now, this guy pretty much, I'm going to put this guy on. This was just Wednesday. Okay, this was last night. So let me go ahead and share my screen. This guy seems like he's legit. Hold on, let me get this. I'm not really good at sharing screens. Okay, now I can't even share it. Why can't I share it? Are you kidding me? Let me go to present. Okay.
We are live on a phone call. Evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So take a look at this footage that we caught, me, Planet Lily, and Melissa, while we were live on a WhatsApp phone call last night. It's phenomenal. There are 3 orbs that start flickering and dancing and lighting up the sky while we are live on a phone call. All right. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I'm going to be going live in about an hour's time. On the video, just scroll in slightly. and you'll be able to see it. It's a phenomenal little activity. Popping up left, right, and centre, these orbs are. All right. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What is it that we saw? It's definitely not planes. It's definitely not birds. It's definitely not drones. It's something we can't explain. Can you? I'll see you all in an hour.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Right next to that tree.
Right. At the right.
Yeah, and then there's
right
blinking around it, dude.
Right in the middle. It's like yeah. There.
No, that's a house.
Like,
No. That's a house.
Literally just lit bright and like when I was there going, look, it's there. It's like, yeah, I'm here. Look, I'm here. Anybody see that? Did anybody see that? Or is that just me?
The one in the tree.
There's another one.
Hold on.
There's another one.
Yeah.
So you've got one right. There's three. There's three. Can you? Everybody see three? Can
Hold on. Wait. Are you see? Hold on. I want to make sure that you're not seeing stuff that's down.
No. There's one on the left. There's one in the middle of the tree, and then there's one on the right.
Yeah.
The one on the right just lit up really quick. One in the middle's like.
It's crazy.
Then the one on the
Yeah,
left
you
is
see them.
just
Oh
like
yeah,
a
they're flying
block,
all
right?
around, aren't they?
Yeah.
You see them all blinking?
Yeah, it's like, no, he's not seeing shit. Look, we're blinking all over the shop. Is somebody recording this or what? Thank God.
That is crazy.
It's orange.
Would you be alright if I post this tomorrow, Melissa?
Wow. You're low tonight. He's usually way up.
Okay, let's see if we can get another one before our guest comes on.
Yeah.
Evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So take a look at this
Please
footage
stop
that
sharing.
we caught, me, Planet Lily, and Melissa, while we were live on a WhatsApp phone call last.
Let's see. I just want to make sure he's coming on because he said he didn't get the link, of course. Always. Ah. I probably should send it to him again. I don't know why this always is such a hassle with the guests getting links. There we got it. Okay, let me go ahead and introduce him. I will get back and do that. I'm not sure why he didn't get it. There's always that problem. Okay, so like I said earlier, we have a special guest, Mark. I'm going to mess this up, Mark. And Gerlach. I'm not sure. He's a certified hypnotherapist trained in prestigious Hypnosis Motivation Institute in California. He's a member of the American Hypnosis Association with advanced certifications in past life regression, trauma, recovery, stage hypnosis, and more. And he's also trained in quantum healing. Oh, I like that. And Reiki. Okay. So what sets Mark apart is his groundbreaking work in what he calls the other life analysis. And we're going to learn all about that. A form of regression therapy that isn't bound by time or history. It explains who we are, who we might be, and even who else might be influencing our reality. And we're going to talk about other things like could the alien people are seeing now be the same ones behind ancient symbols and religious texts, and the cycle of reincarnation itself. That's exactly what we're going to explore tonight. So get ready. This isn't just an interview. It's a journey through time, space, and consciousness. So let's welcome Mark to the show. Welcome, Mark, to Chasing Prophecy. Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad. I'm sorry you didn't get that link. I sent it earlier today.
I didn't see it, so yeah.
No, I'm sorry about that.
I didn't get it, but either way, it's a pleasure to be here. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And did I screw up? Hi, Mystic. Hi, Nicole. Hi, CL. Joe, I hope you're still in the chat because we were waiting. But I'm so glad you could come on the show. And let me ask you something.
Yeah.
What and how long have you been doing this? Like, what got you started?
Yeah, I've had my practice for about 2 years. Prior to that, I was a news reporter, actually.
Oh.
So someone definitely based in facts and getting the actual story and not just speculation. So I was definitely dubious of hypnosis and had my doubts about it, but I've seen it work. It's really effective, and the subconscious mind really creates our reality. So being able to tap into that, you can really make the changes you want to make, and also explore things like, hopefully we'll discuss here today, past life regression, which is really fascinating.
That is really fascinating. So have you always been interested in this? Or is it something?
Really, no, I mean, I've always been interested in the mind and the subconscious mind. And I stopped working for newspapers and started to study hypnosis at a place called HMI College, which is in Tarzana, California. It's a really prominent hypnotherapy school. And so I started studying there, and it was fascinating. I never expected to be interested in past life regression. That's something that I did not expect to focus on. And I took a class on it, and then the instructor in that class hypnotized the class. And that experience was really eye-opening for me.
Yeah. So tell us, what is how do you do that? Like, what is past life regression? Like, is it just you go into a trance and you go back to where you ask, how does that work? If somebody who ever wanted to do it, how would that work?
Yeah. Past life regression is a type of hypnosis where you access something. Generally, you could build off of something that's happening in your current life and then tie it into something that experience in a past life. I call what I do other life analysis, because sometimes when we do past life regression, we're kind of stuck in what we understand as our human timeline that we've been around for 2,000 years and the pyramids and what have you. You could actually go into future lives as well in the subconscious mind. So I call it other life analysis because past life regression kind of, the name past life regression states that you're basically just going to a past life and you're regressing backwards. So in my experience in the sort of the unified field, there is no space time. So you could go to future lives as well. So it's kind of, you let the subconscious guide you to whatever life it's wants to show you, that's going to add more happiness and joy into your life and get past any emotional blocks that you're experiencing.
So the hypnosis can reveal past lives, or is it something we're just tapping into like, it could be just a memory? So is it a memory that we're tapping into when you do the past life regression? So is that what you're doing?
I would say it's kind of a combination. It's almost like a dream, that it's a memory. It could be sometimes things that we're creating in the subconscious as well. It can be memories. There's definitely been stories of times where people have remembered a past life, and there's been historical evidence that that life actually did occur and they actually did experience, they were alive in that time frame. So there's been many cases of that. Dr. Brian Weiss and Dolores Cannon, they're kind of the rock stars of past life regression, and they've done a lot of work on that and talking about such cases. But so I think it's a combination of all those things, really.
Well, Mark, like, how would you, like, why would somebody go to you? Are they having reoccurring dreams, or do they think that they just were curious that they had a past life? If someone calls you up and say, like, Mark,
sometimes people just want to have the experience and get a better idea of what past life regression is. They've heard about it and they want to experience it. Sometimes people have a sort of a suspicion that something that they're going through now, a life partner, maybe that they're having, issues with their marriage or something like that. And then they want to know if they knew that person in a past life. And so sometimes people will come with that, where there's some kind of inner dialogue that they're experiencing that they want to overcome. Could be any number of reasons, really. But, sometimes we make these subconscious connections and they can explain things that we're experiencing in our current life. Sometimes it's not just things that have been done to us, somebody treated us badly, but somehow in a past life we did something to somebody else, and that's kind of like a karmic repercussion of that, whatever we're experiencing in this life. And when we make that connection, it could help add some clarity to the situation, and then also help the person move past whatever emotional, restrictions that they're having, or whatever emotional issues that they're going through, or relationship issues. It could help with all that.
Well, it can help with all that. That's amazing. So you specialize in other life analysis.
I call it other life analysis. Yeah.
And what exactly is that?
To kind of go back a little bit to what I was saying, like past life regression it basically says you're going back to a past life. And often when we think of our human timeline, we have a very definite idea of what that is. And that could be rewritten with new archaeological discoveries. We could have been around much longer. And so I call it other life analysis because it's also possible to go to a future life. And that could also
you can do that in hypnosis. Give me an example of something that has happened, or you've done that with somebody.
I don't talk about clients' experiences because they have confidentiality with their experiences, but there have been,
Just don't. You don't have to say their name or anything.
Yeah, of course not. But I could say there have been times where a client has gone to a future life. So I could just say that generally, and that is sometimes surprising. The subconscious will show you whatever it wants to show you. So sometimes we put sensors on it and we say, oh, that can't be right, or that can't be true. And it's not my job as a hypnotherapist to factually check anyone's past life regression experience. If they're in the Civil War and they're using some kind of, gun that didn't exist in that time, I would never, it's not my job to be a detective. Whatever comes up for them in their subconscious mind is the right thing. So sometimes people go to a future life and they explain a whole future planet and civilization that resembles nothing like we've ever seen, that I couldn't even make up if I tried, to write a science fiction story. It's really phenomenal.
Well, that is amazing. So how many people would you say have this experience, like a future life, when you do the hypnosis?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like the way that I set up a session is I let the subconscious sort of be in the driver's seat to show the person what it is that is going to benefit them in their situation. And sometimes they come in and they say, I have such and such a thing that I'm dealing with, and I'd like to try this to add some clarity and to help me overcome it. So that I call it other life. Again, I feel like it's a little restricting to call it just past life regression. Again, that name regression just suggests that you're just going backwards, and that could be very effective too. And most of the time that is what's happening. But there are times where people have experienced other future lives, and that's why I call it other life analysis. It's just more open-ended, and it's not really guiding the client necessarily backwards. It's allowing them to access whatever in the subconscious mind is going to help them the most.
That's amazing. So with this kind of hypnosis, is there a significant amount of people who go in for or get hypnotized on past life regression? Like they want, like reincarnation. They want to talk about that. I mean, do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, generally I don't bring up past life regression with clients. I let them bring that up to me because everybody has their own beliefs on religion and spirituality. So it's not something, I do advertise for it, but if a client comes to see me for something else, I don't generally suggest it because everybody has their own opinion on reincarnation. But basically every major religion talks about reincarnation. And, help me again, what was the question?
Well, I'm like, is there something that is there a lot of people that have this? I mean, they want to go, they think they're reincarnated. Is there proof that there is some kind of you can go back in using, I guess, hypnosis to go into a different life? Like the person was reincarnated, like they go into a trance, they see things. Well, explain what happened. Like I want to come in and say, I've been having these nightmares. I think I was here before, and I think my past life is starting to influence my present life. Is that possible? I mean, could that happen? Do people actually come to see you about that or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of interest in past life regression, and a lot of people have heard about it from people like Dr. Brian Weiss or Dolores Cannon. So they want to know about it. They want to experience it for themselves. So a lot of people know about it. It's actually the most probably requested thing in my practice that people come in for. And yeah, so I would say it's pretty widely known, and there's a lot of interest among especially my clients that are interested in past life regression for sure.
Nicole said, I also by accident saw another past life without hypnosis as an Indian lady sitting in a meadow on Park Cherokee Indian in this life too. So
very interesting.
And she said that I saw past life as a woman, white dress, falling over a sea cliff into the ocean. My reason of fear of water.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that could happen to people's fears or something from a past life?
Absolutely. And sometimes it could be a pain that you have. And when you make that subconscious connection, the pain could dissipate or lessen. Sometimes like that story that the person watching just put up, that was really very interesting and important. That type of thing happens where maybe you have a fear or a phobia, and then you make that subconscious connection, and you could understand that and move past it and have it lessen tremendously. You also mentioned dreams. Like one thing that I recommend to clients always is to keep a journal by their bed and to write down their dreams if they can remember them. Obviously, dreams are fleeting. So if we don't catch them as soon as we wake, they could easily be forgotten. But dreaming is very powerful, and it's a glimpse into the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind speaks to us not in direct ways. It speaks to us in symbols and imagery and colors and, all kinds of synchronicities in our lives. The universe is always communicating with us. So dreams are a very powerful way to tap into the subconscious mind. It can shed a lot of insight into your current situation, even if it doesn't make sense right away. If you write down your dream, maybe later in the day, something will click and get some wisdom out of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, is it possible that alien intelligence created cycle reincarnation? And if so, are we trapped in a cosmic prison?
That's a very, very interesting question. And that's a question that people have researched. And there are theories on that. One theory is that the reincarnation cycle is like a school that we keep coming back to learn and sort of to refine the soul so we could eventually kind of pass this test of this life and move on. So that's one way to look at it. And that's a more benevolent way, of course, to look at it.
Yeah. What about, like Nicole has another question, I think. Just last night, I dreamt about future premonitions. Wonder if it will come true. I had some of that.
My understanding of dreams is we kind of dream in stages. So I wondered, Nicole, what time of the night did you have that dream? Sometimes in the earlier part of the night, we kind of process everything that happened throughout the day. In the middle part of the night is sort of that time where, as you're saying, Nicole, you have premonitions and you basically make projections for the future based on your current situation. And then the latter part, before you wake up, in the early morning hours, generally we're venting out things that no longer serve us. So it's our way of kind of releasing it. So generally, it's helpful to think of dreams in that way. But I wonder, Nicole, do you have those premonitions often? Maybe she could respond.
Probably around, as she said, it's probably around midnight or later. It was about space cars and aliens, so forth, what the dream was mainly about.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well,
what did you have to eat before you had that dream, Nicole?
Yeah. Well, food definitely influences dreams as well. If you have, a lot of sugar or something before bed and that sugar is leaving the system, you could have a sensation almost like you're falling. People report those kinds of things. So diet is actually very important. Oh, and she's a psychic medium and seer as well. So, yeah. Nice. That's a good.
That's a good one.
But To also go on to that other part of your question, there is a theory that we're actually trapped in this cycle of reincarnation,
Mm.
and that's a little bit more of sort of a malevolent idea, which I'm not saying I believe in, but people have written about that, because it's interesting that our memories are wiped. So we come into this world with no memories or nothing that we've collected along the way in this learning process, which, I mean, far be it from me to know the real understanding of what's happening. But you would think that if it was a school, that maybe we would retain some of that information so we could do better next time. And maybe we do through things like past life regression or dreams. But yeah, it has been written about, and different religions like Hinduism talk about Maya, that this world is an illusion, and the Gnostics talk about this as sort of a reality that's, we're sort of being held in this material world by things they call archons. So yeah, there's a lot to that question. We can unpack if you want.
Yeah, she says she's also been doing feng shui.
Ah.
Does that help also with nighttime process?
I don't know much about, feng shui. I try to incorporate it in my office setup and in my home, but I don't think it could hurt.
Yeah,
Just
really.
do it.
Getting back to people having past regression, what about all these alien abductions? Did you ever have any experience with someone wanting to be going in for hypnotherapy, trying to go find out what happened to them during a I guess they think they're abducted, or it could be some kind of sleep paralysis or shadow people? Have you ever had an experience? And what do you think about that? What are your views on that?
No one's come to me specifically that's had an abduction experience that they wanted to be hypnotized to recall. There are stories like that exist that you could easily pull up online, that people have been hypnotized to recall abduction experiences or UFO sightings. There's definitely cases like that, but I haven't worked on any, to be honest.
What is your view on that? What do you think about stuff like that? You like we were talking about Bob Lazar and how he says all that about the underground bases and what he's seen. And did they, these people who have these things happen to them, does that hypnosis, like not past lives, but some kind of hypnotherapy, can prove that they actually see or did what they did? Sort of, I wouldn't say like a lie detector, because I believe in hypnotherapy. Like I was telling you in my emails that I want to go. I've gone to psychologists that did that. But what's the difference between, do you think that they can find out if these people are actually abducted through that? Wasn't Barney and Betty, didn't they go through some kind of hypnosis to find out if they actually saw the aliens?
We have to double check that, but I believe that they did. And again, there are many cases like that. I want to say Bob Lazar even was hypnotized to explain his stories and to see if they were true under hypnosis and to get more details. And again, tell the audience could fact check me on that, because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that did happen. There's a couple different ways you can look at that, because hypnosis, actually somebody who's been hypnotized, their testimony is not admissible in a court of law.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Because they could remember things that aren't true to the story, or kind of come up with different elements of the story. So I'm not sure if that's the most effective way to verify those stories, but there are cases like that people have used to verify them. But I'm not sure if that's the most effective way to do it. But you brought up Bob Lazar, and I just wanted to mention, because I believe before the show I had sent you a video of him, and people could easily pull it up on YouTube, where Lazar is talking about something he encountered, which was like a binder that was highly classified of religious regarding religion. And he said in that video, I have just a quote here: "Why would there be any classified document dealing with religion? he said that aliens, according to that document, look at humans like containers, maybe containers for souls,
Yeah, that's the soul
and that
containers.
religion was specifically created so that there were rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers, which is very interesting. So why, in fact, would there be a binder about religion that would be classified? Yeah. And so I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's crazy. I mean, why would there be?
Yeah, why would there be? That is a very interesting question. And so Lazar doesn't claim to know. He, in fact, didn't even want to talk about it. He wasn't, because he's a very, as your audience and you well know, he's a very technical guy. He's very much interested in the technology, not so much else, and it's not out for notoriety or things of that nature. So he was reluctant to even talk about that binder and religion. But it's also interesting in Kabbalah, they talk about the human being sort of a vessel. They use the word vessel, which I also thought was just a connection.
Yeah. And for the conscious, and it goes back to the hall consciousness. Is that what it's called that he was talking about? That there was these containers of the conscience or the soul. He said that they saw that they had all these containers that had people's souls in, like their conscience. It's like, who would do that? I mean, I don't know, he was talking about aliens or whatever they are that have the hall of consciousness. I think that's what is that what it's called, the hall of consciousness that he was talking about, Bob Lazar and the Dulce. Sure. Well, there's a underground. You've heard about this in Dulce, the underground. I guess it would be base. That there's supposed to be 7 levels of alien species.
Okay.
And there's some really dark ones where they have the hall of consciousness, and they are people's consciousness or their soul is kept in these containers. Like you were saying, like the binders, or like, why would they even do that? Like, what is their purpose of doing that? And I just thought it was something to talk about.
It is very interesting. And of course, there's no way to know for sure. That theory that we're kind of stuck in this matrix kind of suggests that it's sort of a perceptual prison. It's sort of like a perceptual matrix. And there's a guy, I'm not sure if you heard of him. His name is Danny Goler, and he's a physicist. And so he had people take DMT. And so have you heard of the story? So everyone sees the same code that appears on the wall when you shine an infrared laser against the wall. So it's some kind of, he describes it as a type of Hebrew or Japanese characters, which is very interesting. But everyone sees the same thing. So it's not like they're taking drugs and hallucinating and it's just a crazy experience. Everyone has the same result. They all see the same thing. So he claims that this is sort of a matrix code to our reality. And, I haven't seen that myself, and I've never done DMT, so I can't say that for certain. But it's something that he has talked about. And to just reference Kabbalah again, because I've studied it just in a very introductory level, they talk about Hebrew letters creating our reality. And so that is very interesting when you talk about how could letters create a reality. So it kind of makes sense if you think of it in the sense of sort of a matrix code.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying anything about Kabbalists or any other religions. I'm just saying it's interesting that they mention that in their text, that Hebrew letters create our reality. So
that's interesting that you said that, because I was going to ask you, do you believe in the religious beliefs and the symbols and the archetypes that were implanted in us by non-human forces to control our consciousness? Do you believe in that?
I think that according to this theory that we're sort of reincarnated against our will, like the theory suggests that there is you see a light, and then we're kind of guided into this light, and the light is going to put us through the cycle again. This is the theory again, and I'm not saying I believe any of this. I'm just telling you the information that people have reported on. So this theory suggests that there's a light. people see the light. You see familiar faces, loved ones that have been deceased. Then there's, so that's a very happy moment. Of course, they kind of welcome you into the light. Then you would see also religious symbols that resonate with your religion. So if you're Christian, maybe you see a cross, maybe you see Jesus. If you're Hindu, maybe you see Krishna, or if you're Buddhist, maybe Buddha, etc. And then there's even in many past life regression stories and near-death experiences that have been reported on, there's a suggestion of judgment, right? So you go through sort of a life review, and you have that life review, and then in that experience, you see where you messed up along the way, and you kind of fell short of the goal of being, having your energy be light enough to transcend, or being a good enough human to move on to the next level. And so you're encouraged to return to Earth, or I'm assuming just Earth. Maybe it's other planets too. I don't know, of course. But sort of guided back to return to Earth to do it again. Let's just say Earth for this purpose. And then obviously your memories are wiped. But you had mentioned like resonating with religious symbols. Interesting, that idea of, are we programmed with these symbols? So, and born into families and religion. So we follow those paths and then resonate with them. When we die, perhaps we see images or glimpses of them that make us think that, that is the true religion, whatever religion it is that we believe in. And so we see those images, those symbols, and they could be programmed at birth. There are many archetypes and symbols that hold deep meaning for people.
That's interesting. So did you have any like really mind-blowing experiences you had doing like an aggression session that you could share with us without telling too much of the person?
I mean, I could talk about my own. So
okay.
I'd be happy to do that. The first time I did past life regression, I was really not that. When I took that class I had mentioned earlier, I didn't expect to like it at all. And so in that class, we will all experience past life regression. In that session, was in ancient Egypt, and thought that I was, and I think that's, a lot of people return to ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, those types of places. But I had felt that I was a spiritual teacher of some kind, but not, I didn't feel like royalty or something like that. I felt like I was some kind of spiritual teacher, but I kept coming across the name Melchizedek, and that's a biblical name, which I never heard of prior to that. And so it was really bizarre because that's not a name I would have picked up in a conversation with somebody. I don't know anyone named Melchizedek. I don't think hardly anybody does. So having that name come up was really interesting. And then because it was my own session, I looked it up, and it was a biblical name. And that person apparently was a teacher to Abraham, apparently. I might be getting some of this wrong. But he was sort of somebody apparently who Abraham learned from. So he must have been a very exalted person. And that person existed, according to the Bible, around Egypt. So it was in that general area. So that kind of blew my mind because it was just fascinating. I actually like stopped the class to tell them that, because I was like kind of floored. I didn't expect that. I didn't go into that expecting to like it even. And then when I stepped out of that class, I was like, wow, that's really powerful. I also had another past life. I don't know if you want me to continue.
Yeah, go ahead. This is interesting.
Yeah, I had another experience, which was more recent. And again, it was in the past. I was a business person in the Chicago area, and this was earlier. So maybe it was the life right before this one. And it was like the 1950s. I was like a business executive. I think maybe I just mentioned that. But I was not a good person. I wasn't a good father, good family person. And I think I was sort of a bad drunk and things of that nature. And so that experience just kind of shed some light on karmic experiences that I've experienced in this lifetime, in my upbringing and different things that, have happened to me in my life. It was kind of a awakening that, in that life I had done similar things to other people that in this life had been done to me. So that was very powerful as well.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, if some things that you keep doing the same thing wrong in this life, is it because of something that you did in your other life that could be why doesn't this ever happen? Why do I keep doing this? Did I do something wrong in my past life that I can't get to this point in this life?
Yeah.
So
I was just reading an experience today, just quickly, that in a journal that a psychologist had written who does past life regression. He was talking about a client who must have gave their permission to have the story used, but in a past life, he was sort of not an executioner, but somebody who, when somebody had committed a crime, they would get like lashed. He was that person. And I forget the name of what that person is. But in this life, he was lonely. He didn't have any friends. And he went through a past life regression experience. And his outcome of that and understanding of it was that in that life, he had harmed so many people that in life's after that, he felt like he needed to stay away from people to protect them. So that was very profound for him.
Yeah, that is. So
Yeah.
what's the biggest lie we've been told about the subconscious mind, do you think?
The biggest lie? I think it's not understood that the subconscious mind really creates our reality, and that the subconscious programming that's running below the surface of the mind is really, it's the dominant part of the mind. So the subconscious mind is really, depending on what information you look at, about 90% of the mind. The conscious mind is only about 10%. So I think that people think that it's maybe reversed because we're using the conscious mind. We think we're in the driver's seat. We know everything that's happening, but really it's almost like a computer screen. You and I are looking at screens. It's really the programs all in the background that are running the computer, and the end result is what's on the screen. So the subconscious mind works in a similar way. I'm not sure I would say it was as necessarily a lie as much as it's just a misunderstanding, or it's not well explained to people. And so in hypnosis, just quickly, hypnosis is not anything mystical, really. It's just a very deep relaxation. So when you're in a very deeply relaxed state in between being asleep and being awake, you can access that part of the subconscious mind and sort of add programs or remove outdated software, whatever it might be, however you want to think about it. You can make changes to the subconscious mind when you're in between that state of being asleep and awake. So it's just a very deep relaxation. That's all hypnosis really is.
What happens like when you fall asleep? Like I do hypnosis at night, but I always fall asleep. So it's really not going to do anything because I get so relaxed, I fall asleep.
Well, what's the ideal brainwave state, and these are measurable brain waves that you could measure, is a theta wave brain state. It's between sleep and awake. So when you're sleeping, they call that delta. So delta isn't ideal for hypnosis. I know some people listen to recordings when they sleep, and if that works for them, that's great. But really, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Doesn't work for me.
Okay.
Well,
yeah. But what's great about what you're doing is that when you listen to those recordings before bed, generally when we're tired, we're in that theta wave brain state. So being in that theta wave brain state between sleep and wakefulness is really the best time if you have a hypnosis recording to listen to it. And if it counts you out at the end, just shut it off before then if you can. But when you're tired is when you're most suggestible to hypnosis.
Okay. And can hypnosis help someone break free from the reincarnation cycle or even bypass it completely?
That's impossible for me to know. And I could only say that, if I would like to think that the reincarnation cycle is a helpful cycle, and that these entities, whatever they might, because we as humans can only see a small sliver of the light spectrum, so that means there's processes and things beyond our wildest imagination that are happening around us all the time. And so we only see a narrow bandwidth of that light spectrum. And so, really life is really phenomenal, and all the things that are, happening around us, we can't perceive a lot of them. So, I think it's my belief that this reincarnation cycle is helping us, and that these entities, whatever they might be, it's like when people do DMT, they also see like the same sort of entities that seem to be very loving and benevolent. I would like to think that whatever this cycle is that we go through is one that's intended to help us, not trap us. I would like to believe that, and I think deep down I do believe that. But it's interesting to explore this other theory that it might not be. And so if it isn't, if it is a trap, as some people tend to believe or have written about, then I think just being conscious of it could help you escape it. If you do take your memories with you to that stage, and you're asked to go back, maybe you could say, no, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's an interesting phenomenon to think, maybe there is a way to bypass that. But it's, obviously it's impossible for me to say for sure.
I've talked to a lot of people who we're getting back to the alien abduction topic. Yeah. And I've talked to Travis Walton. I've talked to so many people who claim that they were abducted. And you've studied trauma and transformation through hypnotherapy. Now, could the alien abduction's memory, the person's memory, be hidden instead of being abducted? Could it be a hidden trauma or something actually real that took place instead of the alien stuff? And
so I just want to understand. So you're saying instead of an abduction, is it just a trauma that the mind is blocking out? It's possible. I don't know enough about that case to really say, but it's definitely possible. Like sometimes when there's a trauma that we've been through that is just too painful to look at, it's possible that we block it out and maybe add some other fanciful thing that's less painful and more, could get more attention or more, a more pleasant experience than the trauma that we've been through. So it's absolutely possible, but I don't know enough to say.
What do you think about the subconscious mind? Does it have access to the knowledge? Do you think knowledge that transcends time, like universal truths and forbidden history that we don't know about, but our subconscious mind has access to it? What do you think about that?
There's a theory by a very brilliant man named Dr. Robert Epstein, and he says that he writes about a theory called neural transduction theory, which is a very interesting phenomenon that we think of the mind as like a computer, but maybe it's more like a transducer, and an antenna is a type of transducer. So his theory, which would explain a lot of things like the fact that people have, get possessed, or that they have psychotic breakdowns, or that they could speak another language that they never learned. It's almost like tuning into a radio signal. So we're getting information and also transmitting information. And that the information, because you could say, well, I learned, how to play golf. Like, where is that information stored? Well, maybe it's in like a cloud that's like your personal cloud that has that information, and we're all kind of just tuned into different frequencies. But absolutely, I believe that the subconscious mind, and when you tap into higher levels of consciousness through different things, perhaps meditation or something else, like the subconscious mind does have all the information. You could tap into, people could call it the Akashic records or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I don't mean to conflate that with something else. Maybe people, I'm sure listeners know way more about that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But basically I'm using that as a reference to say, like, infinite intelligence of all the information that ever was or will be. I think that all exists in the subconscious mind. I interviewed another neurosurgeon, and he was explaining, like, the subconscious mind creates our reality. He said there's more quantum dots in the subconscious mind, and there's this sort of, for lack of a better term, like primordial consciousness, or just like ooze, where there's nothing is manifest, and our conscious mind kind of makes sense of all of that. So I think that the subconscious mind is really the realm of infinite possibilities, and really creates our reality. Yeah.
Exactly. For if someone is watching tonight wanted to unlock a memory from a past or future life, what's the first step they should take?
If they want to unlock a memory from a past life or a future life, I would say, it's good to work with someone that's studied this and to help guide them through that process. So there's many trained people like myself that do that, but also like pay attention to all the synchronicities in your life, pay attention to your dreams. The universe is always communicating with us. So, there's messages all around us that could shed light on our current situation. Sometimes you're walking in a park and you see graffiti and it resonates with your situation, or a billboard, or you're driving and there's something on the radio that speaks directly to your situation, or you're reading a book and, you open it to a random page and, that sentence is a perfect sentence for whatever it is that you're going through at the moment. So synchronicity, absolutely, I would say just pay attention to all the symbols around you, but to specifically to deal with past lives, there's possibly recordings that people could listen to on their own that I'm not familiar with, but it's really recommended to do it, with somebody who knows what they're doing and to guide you through the process, because it can be a very emotional process too. And a lot of stuff comes up for folks, and it's helpful to have somebody there to go through that with you.
Okay. Well, hey there, Chasm. Now, where can people find you if they want to have you be their hypnotherapist?
Yeah. I'm on Substack, so anyone listening wants to check out my Substack, that would be amazing. It's Gerlach Hypnotherapy at Substack. Also, my website is Gerlach Hypnotherapy. It's GERLACH hypnotherapy.com. So all that information's there, and I offer free consultations. Anyone just wants to talk about something beforehand, that would be absolutely fine. So they could take advantage of that.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, Mark. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Very interesting. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks again.
It was really interesting, guys. I learned a lot. I've been to a number of different hypnotherapists in my life, and I think it's a great thing to do. I even had hypnotherapy for the car accident I was in 2018, because I couldn't go through the same intersection, and they helped me bypass that. So I don't have that problem anymore. I can drive through it. But next week, I'm not sure who we have on the show. I would like to talk about, hopefully I can get a guest to come on and talk about maybe we can get Sean Kelly to come on. The Annabelle. I don't know if you guys, thank you, G. No, I like you, Nicole. I want to talk about, I don't know if you heard about this, Nicole, about the Annabelle story, about what's going on. They moved Annabelle. I don't know if anybody heard about that. They moved Annabelle. And I think I'm going to try to pull it up for you before we go, because I think it's really interesting. The warns about the Annabelle, the curse, and you're not supposed to ever move Annabelle. Well, they moved Annabelle. Okay. And now there's all kind of things just happening. And now it's going, I think the next one, here it is right here. I'm going to see if I can send this to, I'm going to see if I can, I'll tell you what it says. So we can talk about this maybe with, all hell broke loose. 4 days ago, they moved Annabelle, one of the most haunted dolls, from Remote, Connecticut to New Orleans, Louisiana. The largest sugarcane plantation burnt down. And then 11 inmates in a New Orleans prison escaped. Now this is a tour, and now she's headed to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm not sure how you say this, Nepal, is that what you say? Nipe? I'm not sure. Unless it's northeastern Pennsylvania she's talking about. Gettysburg. Okay, residents. So I want to see if anything happens in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania when Annabelle gets there. But do you believe that? Isn't that crazy? I think that's insane. But anyways, and don't forget Friday tomorrow, the Real Talk is on. We're going to discuss my review of Creation. Would you go see Annabelle? No, I would not, Nicole. I would not go see Annabelle. But tomorrow on the Real Talk, I'm going to discuss what I think. Yeah, there might be an evil entity. Yes, there is. But I don't know all about Annabelle if it all is true. I mean, because Sean does not believe that the Warrens were really on the up and up. So maybe there was never a curse, but according to Louisiana inmates and everybody, she's really causing a problem. But getting back to tomorrow's the Real Talk, I'm going to be reviewing Creation. Yes, it's true. From our guest told me. Yes, okay. I'm going to talk about Creation, the movie. I'm going to do a little review on that. And I usually do 2 reviews, but I only have the one. And I just want to emphasize my reviews are not what's going on right now in the movie theater. It's what's streaming, so everybody can check it out. And they could be older movies too. So, but if you have an idea for a movie, please, that you want me to review, please do. Yes, it's true. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you, Joe, Chasm, Nicole, Squashman. Who else is in that chat? Squashman. I have to have you back on the show. Heidi, Holly, CL. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Chasing Prophecies. Have a great evening. I'll see you next time tomorrow night, The Real Talk at 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can go ahead and watch it. Have time to watch it later.